It's 5 o'clock. I'm calling the work session to order. And what's going on? Just a reminder to check the signature file. There's plenty of things to sign. We're going to have a discussion on the mask ordinance.
Just a short one.
All right, we're going to be mentioning it later on too in the meeting, but our mask ordinance still exists there, even though the governor went to, he withdrew his mask ordinance. Our mask ordinance is tied to his emergency order that currently, I guess, goes to, was it May 5th or? And then
May 7th.
May 7th?
May 7th.
May 7th, and we're targeting 2 weeks after that for the town to consider reopening and for us to reconsider or retract our mask ordinance. And the governor may indeed go forward with his emergency orders beyond May 7th. So, you know, we'll just play it by ear. But that's where we are with our ordinance.
That was easy.
Yeah. Any comments or on that one? Yeah, Marianne?
So in listening to my long ride home, it appears the potential issue, Dr. Fauci, is that outdoor activity could resume, especially if you've gotten vaccinated, you know, resume without any mask, and that may be coming shortly. Would we be potentially looking at something like that as well? Some sort of hybrid of what we have now?
I think we'll consult with our emergency management director, Scott Whedon, who happens to be on the call. And also
Nice.
Michelle McCune wants to weigh in too. She's on the call as well. But Scott, do you foresee kind of having a modified mask ordinance or what?
You know, I think, Bill, according to Health and Human Services at the federal level, they've extended their state of emergency through the end of July currently. I believe that the governor will extend and follow that direction based on the HHS, and they're being very vocal about still wearing a mask, social distancing, and proper hand hygiene. I think in our mask ordinance already, it talks about if you're out in the public or if you're out in the open, that masks do not need to be worn if you're maintaining social distancing. So I think our mask ordinance already covers that piece of it. But if you wanted to do something different than that, I think that would be received as long as it came as a recommendation from the CDC or DHHS.
Yeah, we're also considering the whole vaccine thing, but you know, that's what I would go off of. Not that you need me, but the CDC recommendations. Yes.
Michelle, I don't know if you have anything to add to that with regards to what you're seeing for guidance in the feedback from SPEAR.
So, yeah, thank you very much. I'm hearing the same thing Marianne indicated, that Dr. Fauci seems to indicate once we start loosening the rules, it will start with those outdoor activities where you can still be socially distanced. I think your ordinance addresses that now. I mean, if you're at the speedway at a race or you're in stands at a football game, you should be wearing the mask. But if you're out hiking by yourself or whatever, it wouldn't be necessary. So I think what you have in place works well. I'm hoping that as the CDC does give us further guidance, it will not be all or nothing, but it will be sort of a gradual transition, sort of starting with outdoor and then slowly to smaller groups and so forth. I mean, they already did lessen their mandates in regards to small home gatherings if you've been vaccinated. The problem is we aren't going to know who's vaccinated and who's not vaccinated. So it's best to be on the side of caution. I mean, I'd ask Kathy if I could join tonight, because when we first learned the governor was going to let the mask mandate go away in New Hampshire, was extremely concerned about what's going to happen when it's each municipality and each business that has to make this decision. prior to the state mandate, it was very challenging. We had lots of people that just did not want to wear a mask. And I think sometimes we had to ask Steve and his team to come and help us because people were really being belligerent and challenging. You know, I think they got used to it. We're not seeing it so much. I have seen in the community some people saying, oh, I don't have to wear a mask anymore, and reminding people Plymouth has an ordinance and they still have to wear a mask. So I don't know what we can do to better communicate that. I got on a little bit late, so I don't know how long yours stays in place. I think I heard 30 days beyond the governor's, and whether or not there's consideration of extending that or not.
It's only 2 weeks beyond the governor. But we can, the board can choose to extend it, keep on extending it for as long as the board feels.
But for clarity, that's 2 weeks beyond the end of the state of emergency, not the end of the governor's mask mandate.
Right, yep.
And actually, our ordinance extends 30 days beyond the ending of the executive order for declaring a state of emergency. So we have 30 days past that expiration to make a decision.
That's correct.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at it. This regulation shall remain in effect for a period of 30 days following the lifting of the COVID-19 state of emergency, unless the board determines that reasons for adopting these regulations still exist. So, and as far as, shirking, I mean, I think we all have that experience of going to Market Basket or Hannaford and just seeing a lot of people ignore the mask mandate. And for Market Basket, it's also the arrows on the floor, but at least Hannaford removed their arrows.
Right.
So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of hard work for local businesses to try to make certain that people are obeying the Plymouth mask ordinance. And I don't know if Steve has any comment on whether, his calls have gone up or we're just kind of keeping it low right now.
No, not of recent times. It hasn't gone up. I mean, we're still, I think there is some confusion out there. And I definitely agree with Michelle. We need to communicate it a little bit better here in Plymouth. Because the ones we do show up to, you tell them, hey, we have a mask ordinance here. And the majority of the people I get is an apology, we're sorry. And we get them masks and they put them on. But there is some confusion because you tend to get, well, the governor says I don't have to. Well, I'm sorry, we have an ordinance here in Plymouth. So there is that confusion, and we need to clarify that for people and try and get that word out a little bit better. I think that would be the best practice, to just try and get the word out a little bit better than we're doing now.
I think we should consider getting the signs back in town. I know the university was paying for those previously, but those seemed very prominent.
The big display. That was pretty costly. The university funded it, and I don't believe that they would continue that. So
How about the sandwich boards? Don't we have those?
what's sandwich boards?
We have one out in front of the town hall. Larry, Parks and Rec had that one in the V right out in front of the common there. That's the same as sandwich board.
Yeah.
Yeah. So is that the only one we have? Or you have?
It's the only one we have now is the elementary.
Yeah.
Are there any extra signs at the school? The elementary use it all.
So we only have the one in front of the town hall.
Contractors like Dick Piper have electronic signs. He might have one he's not using. We could ask him.
Are you offering?
Well, I'll ask him, sure.
Okay.
All right, that'll be good.
Yep.
Anything else on that?
It's
Yeah, I
something
have-
else that could be on, I'm sorry, if it's something that could be on the town website, I mean, we're happy to help in whatever way to communicate this as well.
We'll have to make it big and bold on the town website.
It is on the front page though.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Not a whole lot of people go to that website though.
No,
unless
that's
they-
the problem.
Have like a document they want to look up or something.
And I think both correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, I think both the PD and the fire department had it on their social media page through Facebook as a reminder that the mask ordinance for the town of Plymouth was still in place. So maybe every so often, that could be reiterated through social media as well.
Yep, I agree.
I saw a lot of businesses via social media post that the mask ordinance it is still on for their business. Some referred to the Plymouth mandate, others just said it's still our policy. We did have a couple of people push back over the weekend. They weren't happy we served them outside, but so be it.
You know, the only other thing that I'll mention is on May 7th, it appears that the Safer at Home 2.0 guidance is going to come out of the emergency orders and be called a best practice. So we may get a little bit more pushback with regards to the restaurant guidance and some of the other guidance that's included within the Safer at Home 2.0, but it is going to be still a best practice from the governor's office, but that mandate through Safer at Home 2.0 will be gone as well.
Scott, oh yeah, Scott. Yeah, Scott, I know you're gonna talk numbers probably as well. I mean, the rate's not really going down that extremely. Was you have 300 positives like yesterday or something like that?
In Tommy's report this morning, yeah, we had 300 and I think 52 cases in the state of New Hampshire, new cases in the state, but over the past couple of weeks, the Plymouth cases have risen as well. And I think this morning we had 50 active cases. And many of those are coming from the university, which is troublesome that I think things have been let go a little bit. And we've seen, I think last week there was 40 some odd cases in the past 7 days, which is a high of what we've seen over the previous couple of weeks. So the Plymouth cases have still been up there, and that is concerning, Bill.
And school's out the 8th. So
Yes.
How much longer will we need to have signs for?
I mean, we'll still be enforcing it for, depends upon how gracious or giving he is, I guess, for the next
Another 2 weeks?
Well, another couple of months, that
But I would think that a couple of weeks of reminding people would be helpful.
Except for tourism season.
true.
Now, WMUR has been good about showing on a map of the state which towns, cities currently have local mask ordinances. And I know that DHHS on their website is also communicating which towns and cities have current mask ordinances in place. So it's another tool if folks are going there and looking at the interactive maps and the dashboards, they'll see it as part of the mapping that DHHS has as well.
Problem is you have to be going and looking for it. I did the same thing. There's 14 towns with an ordinance. It was a little hard to see when they're all expiring. Some are until further notice, but you have to go look for it. And there's none around Plymouth. I mean, it's Concord, Lebanon, Hanover. There's nothing nearby. So I wouldn't be surprised people, either the tourists or even those from Meredith or wherever that may be here, not being aware that there's an ordinance in Plymouth.
Point. Well, Neil, good luck in seeing if you can acquire a electronic sign for a while. Anything else on the ordinance?
No.
Kathy's shaking her head no.
Nope.
Okay. Next, we have Larry Gibson to discuss a couple of town common items, trees and benches and tables.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, thanks. Good evening. I have Robert with me, the park foreman. We're just here to kind of give you a brief update on the status of the common right now, what our plans are for the common, And we're just kind of in the process of spring cleanup. We haven't accomplished everything that we want to do at this point. So what I can give you some update is, we do have some bond money left. We're looking to upgrade the electrical panels on the common. It's needed because a lot of the breakers are tripping. A lot of the breakers are tied to the street lighting. So we need to revamp that situation. The gazebo, we're looking at replacing the handrails. We're looking at painting the gazebo. The slate that is around the gazebo, we're looking at either resodding that or putting pea stone or something and possibly some shrubbery around the common or around the gazebo area. We've added a few picnic tables. We've got a few more that we're going to add along with some park benches. I'll let Robert talk about the grass and what has taken place and what he has done so far. But we've also removed all the chains. There used to be chains tying down the picnic tables and benches. We were concerned it was a tripping hazard. This did not look nice, so we've removed all that. So far, the benches and picnic tables have stayed in place. We don't mind people moving them to different locations. In fact, that would help us with erosion of the grass and things like that. So, and there's plans where the picnic tables are to put some type of slate or something under the tables. So that's just kind of a brief update. And if you have any questions, again, I'll let Robert address the grass, what he's done so far. I think you've seen there's straw and things like that. So Robert, you want to dive in? So not to put you on the spot.
So we fixed some of the sides because they were eroded and dropped off. And we seeded them. We were lucky to get the seed to come in because, you know, most seed doesn't germinate with cold ground temperatures. But we were able to get it to come in. We're going to do some more seeding in the common. It's just tough because if you're going to seed one side, you almost have to close it until you can get it to come up, because you can't just put it on top. We have a way we can slice seed it in, which you can still use it. And then we can top dress it with some compost we have at the school, and which will still keep it open, but it, you know, we might not be able to mow it as often just because of the compost on top of it. But it's hard to do really anything in there because you always have traffic in there unless you close it off. And we put the tables in. We're going to change a few of the beds that do not have flowers that are around the trees that I think that are not good for the trees. We're just going to turn them back to loam. So we just trim around them. And other than that, that's most of what we're going to try to do, at least for now. And like Larry said, we're going to add some more tables, some benches, and then just look into some other different things, some, you know, the lights in the trees, if that's good for them or bad for them. It just doesn't really, I don't know, having lights wound around in your trees as they grow, it just doesn't seem like something that's good for them, especially with as old as the trees are in the common. Yeah, and that's about really it for now. And, you know, we'll mulch and clean up the flower beds and thin out a few of the flower beds and prune some of the forsythias around the outside. That's kind of what we have for grounds stuff we're going to do.
Board has any questions, also maybe just a brief idea of what we're going to do with the town hall here.
Yes, we're going to replant the front part of that lawn, which was killed by grubs. So I'm hoping that they're past now, but we'll reloam that, reseed that. We'll edge all the beds and remulch everything and get that back to a full lawn again. And that's the left side in front of the cannon, as you can see, is pretty bad. And then we're going to put some loam around the tree, the monument at the bottom on where the bus stop is, where all the roots are coming up through the ground, and make that so those roots aren't exposed anymore. Hopefully help that tree at the bottom, you know, as far as sustaining some life, because it's just everything's exposed there, which we've done in the past, but it goes away. And we'll just do that, seed it, loam it, try to get the grass back in and hopefully to keep it maintained and keep it looking good.
Any questions from the board?
Yeah, Robert, you mentioned the monument, but there was a concern about, I guess, either black mold and or lichens or something like that on the monument that
And they washed that, didn't
I'm just.
the
asking.
cemetery workers, I think, washed that
Okay,
one last year? They pressure washed it?
We'll check on that.
yeah,
Yeah. Because we have a gentleman too that came in, it was about 3 weeks ago that
There's a
did
Boy
the,
Scout.
did the Boy Scout statue, so possibly we could have him take a look at the cannon and
or the cement, no, cement, the granite monument was
Okay.
the one that was
Yeah,
an issue.
okay. Well, we could pressure.
Oh, you mean,
I think they did they did the one to the left, if you're looking at the town hall, they did the one to the left of the cannon.
sure, okay,
The two of the cemetery employees did that.
all right.
Yeah, we'll take a look at it. So we can pressure treat that or pressure wash that, so. Okay. But the common will look good. I mean, we're, like I said, we're just in the process of spring cleanup. You know, we just have several areas to get to, and we just briefly hit the common. We'll hit it full force and just waiting for the little bit more warmer weather and we'll add more tables and it'll look presentable. We've already moved the trash containers. We just felt that, you know, as soon as you enter the common, bang, right there with the containers, it wasn't a very good site. So we're gonna add additional trash containers to the common. We've already moved those out throughout the common area. So those that have dogs too, we ask that, you know, please curb the dog, please pick up after your dog. Talking with Alex Ray, he does have these bags. We'll add that to the common too. So,
How many tables are we gonna have on the common now?
well, currently there's 2, right? So we'll either go
There's three. I
three,
believe.
so either 5 or 6 tables.
Nice.
We'll try to add, see what it looks like.
It's tough to put too many tables there because it's a slope.
It's not.
So
too
you're not,
level.
your table's gonna sit like this, so nobody's gonna wanna sit like that. So we can only put them in the flattest areas we have.
Mhm.
So I mean, we'll put as many as possible. And there's a good amount, we can add 2 more in between on the town hall end of that common. And then the other one, we can find another flat spot, you know, to put a 6th one or however many we can get in there. And we added another bench, so there's 2 more back in there. There was only 1 for the last several years, so there's 2 in there now. And then we still have another one of the benches that matches, but we have to take the slats off them and have them planed and re-urethane them because they're in pretty bad shape.
Are you folks responsible for the trees on Main Street? We took a couple down. I know it was the co-op. Is the co-op still responsible? Does that fall under your responsibilities, Larry?
We are not responsible for the trees.
Okay.
on the street. I know that there's been some talk about having a beautification committee for Main Street. You know, we're willing to do or sit down and talk to do what we can to help out. I know that there were a lot of trees South Main Street that were taken down by the skate park and
Right.
things, but I think that was Alex Ray that did that. I think that's his property, I believe. Part of
No,
the-
there was some taken down in front of Panther, and I think in front of the
that was-
pizza place.
A couple years ago.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that
I think it was
that
about a year.
That was co-op, I believe.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, and also established,
And I don't know what the plan was for that or what the plan is to replace those. I don't know. So,
That was part of the 1995 Main Street program. I was part of the member that put those trees in surrounding. The South Main Street was not yet accomplished. Tree in front of Panther was removed because 2 things, the power line interface and the tree was shaken. Anyway, that Main Street program, in a sense, is all. And now there are are some trees that have been cut down that are on this Main Street program, but no one has come. No one revisited the plan to future maintenance.
I don't know if you guys heard that, but Frank Miller's in the back of the room, and I don't know if his voice got picked up by a mic or not, but
No.
okay, because he described those trees being part of the 1995 Main Street, yeah. And I knew when they were going to remove the trees that the co-op was going to help us put in syringes, like the tall, like standard lilacs or whatever. But and they stand, well, you can keep a trunk that's like 8 feet tall or 7 feet tall, and just keep the foliage above that, and it doesn't get very much bigger than that, which may be a good choice for replacement of the trees that are croaking along Main Street. So, but Kathy Lowe is our
The tree warden.
warden. Yeah.
All right. But the problem with, there's so much salt that you use on the sidewalks that it's not good for the
Yeah.
trees. There's nowhere for it to go. It just goes right there into the root. And they're covered in brick, and salt eats brick, so it's
So
a tough place to grow a tree and have it stay alive and beautiful.
the co-op seemed to think that those syringes there would be more
Yeah.
hardy in those spots, but it would do better than those plums or whatever that
Yeah.
they're.
Because salt kills a lot of,
So Kathy, does that mean you get to work with your folks over at the co-op?
Yeah, I think I can contact somebody at the co-op. I understood that that the co-op was going to replace 3 trees on Main Street. So, and I think Joe knows more information too. But I did understand the co-op was replacing 3 trees, so I can contact somebody over there and find out what the status is.
Thank you.
Okay, well, please, if you have any questions, please give us a call. We're willing to come down and do what we can to continue to provide the service for the common. So, okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
Thanks, Robert.
thank you.
Okay. Next up.
Oh, this is Michelle. Just a question.
Yeah.
I feel a little uncomfortable. I know this is a closed meeting, and so, I did have my opportunity to speak about the mask mandate. So I'm happy to sign off. I did see that I'm on the agenda for the public hearing, which I was not aware of. And unfortunately, I have other plans. So I really don't have a whole lot to add other than the state has let us know that they're going to close the fixed vaccine site at the Armory towards the end of May, early June. So we have begun the planning process to pick those up once they close.
Okay, that's not premature, right? Their closure.
They really think that by the end of the month, by the end of May, the volume of vaccines will have been low enough that it isn't feasible for them to keep the fixed site open and the community can absorb those. We have some nurses that we regularly staff over there now, and they are agreeing that they are seeing decline in number of vaccines they're doing each day at that site.
Okay.
They did say on WMUR this morning that there was a drop in people that were signing up for the vaccine. So I didn't imagine they'd be open too much longer.
Yeah, I think they said they got about 15,000 out-of-staters that did sign up once that opened up last Monday, which was less than they expected. So, and I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has before I sign off.
I'm all set.
Zach?
I have a
Zach?
question.
Dr.
Those,
Zach?
the out-of-staters, do you think they're living here?
Some of them.
Some of them
Some may be. We just see, I was talking with one of our nurses that works the fixed site, and she says you're seeing the New York plates and other states, and it just may be difficulty in getting it in those states. They did see a lot of out-of-state students from PSU take advantage of this first shot. I don't know what they're going to do about getting their second shot. because they'll have gone home by then. But hopefully they can coordinate it with their states, or they'll be taking a trip back. And there are a number of, I'm guilty. I have a daughter who's a resident of Quincy, Mass, who's been working from home for a year. So she's with us in Bristol, but she couldn't sign up until Monday. So she'll be getting her shot up here. So there are definitely some that are living here right now. Thank you all. Take care.
Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. Is there another hand up, or you? That was your hand, right, Andrew? I'm calling you out, but there was like a
So this time it was in front of
raised hand that
Zach.
was kind of moving around the screen.
Are you doing that, Andrew?
Anyway, okay. Next up, Colin Mciver and Bill Bolton on the airport discussion that went on last week.
Two separate ones.
Two separate ones?
Yeah. Colin's got one discussion and you have the other one.
I do? Okay.
Yeah.
Which one do I have?
The grant, the
Oh,
northern borders.
is that going to be during the main meeting, or is that going to be like, no?
No, that was June. Well, June was going to try to zoom in. I saw, is she on? Okay.
Okay.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Did you? So, where's that stuff? I mean, I brought stuff, but
It's just to determine if the rest of the board wants us to proceed with northern borders for this airport project.
all right. So, Colin, you want to kick it off? You want me to kick it off, or what? Colin, where are you?
I am right here.
Okay.
Yep. Oh,
Upside down, or was upside down, that there was concern at the last meeting.
What was upside down?
Plane.
Plain,
Oh.
yeah.
Plane.
Yeah.
I can give a little update on that when
Yep.
when you want it.
Go for it right now. It's probably
Okay.
short.
Just a brief update. The airplane, it was very windy, March 28th. The owner neglected to maintain a tie down and tie the aircraft down. It flipped over, and I met with the owner immediately. He began to disassemble the airplane. It was about a week ago, Monday. He had a mechanic. It really took the help of an experienced mechanic to fully disassemble. And his intention is to remove it from the airport. And, so that's where we're at. So fortunately, we did not have to, as a town, have to touch the airplane or move it ourselves. So.
All right. So regarding our unmanned aircraft center at Plymouth Municipal Airport. You want me to kick it off and you can fill in?
Sure thing.
What's that?
Sounds good.
All right, so this is a project that we've been interested in pursuing for over a year. And actually it was like a year ago that Colin prepared a packet and Jules helped walk it through to go through Northern Borders grant application. It didn't make it for whatever reasons. What we were going to do was utilize the interest of Argentech, which is a company that's, I guess, primarily in, well, it's Concord, Iraq. I mean, they're like all over the globe. But they were looking to, establish Plymouth Airport as an unmanned aircraft center. And this would allow them to help us build a hangar with a training class, with a septic system and a well to be able to make certain that they could have classes out there. And it wasn't just Argentech that had this interest, it was also the university. And there was, no commitment, but very much support of the project by the university, because actually Don Burks came from a cybersecurity specialty and an unmanned aircraft center out in, it was the University of, not Wyoming, Arizona, I guess.
It was New Mexico.
Okay, close enough. So, and we also had Joe Boyer, who was also interested in partnering with this project, and their intent was to focus on cybersecurity. They also wanted to go forward with some meteorological studies and President Burke's main goal was to bring up high-tech businesses up the I-93 corridor. So a year ago, it seemed like it was like a really great project to pursue. It didn't go forward. There still is a need, but Argentech doesn't seem to be too enthusiastic to be a partner. They'll utilize the Unmanned Aircraft Center if it's built, but they're not going to obligate funds to see that happen. But they were saying that they might use it like once or twice a month, which wouldn't really kind of justify. And then we were, I guess, well, we had a meeting last week with Joe Kenny, Executive Councilor Joe Kenny, Senator Bob Guida, Bino Lamontagne, and we got the feeling that this was a very important project for them as well. And Bob was urging us to go forward with a double project to Northern Borders. And this project for Northern Borders, I mean, Northern Borders is going to give match-free grants to worthy projects. June can describe how much money it is, something like 45 million or something like that for like 52. Go ahead.
You want me to jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Briefly.
Northern Borders this year for New Hampshire has I think it's 4.6 million.
Okay.
And they have already received 51 letters of intent. So it's highly competitive, and it's gotten more and more competitive every year. This year only, they are waiving what is normally a 50% match. So if you have a $500,000 project, the town would normally have to come up with $250,000, and Northern Borders would pay $250,000. This year they are accepting if we can sign an affidavit that explains due to COVID, because of either decrease in revenues or increase in expenses or a combination of the two, that we do not have the funds available for matching funds. So I've met with the town manager, finance director to go over that. We've identified some losses of revenue. However, it's only, it's not millions of dollars of losses of revenue. So we can't overstate our lack of resources for match. So that's kind of the nuts and bolts of it. And it has to have job creation, economic development, supporting jobs, that kind of thing. But it's a highly competitive program, 4.6 million for about, so far they've had 51 letters of intent. Letters of intent were not mandatory, so they may have other projects. I know of one other that did not go in with a letter of intent, I think.
So this project, at least the Unmanned Aircraft Center, it's kind of like lost some of its spin since last time we went forward with this. And even though it seemed very important for, well, actually, I would like to see the project go forward too. The board did, kind of weighed in last year as well. And we all signed support letters. However, this probably wouldn't be the best time to go forward with a double request for Northern Borders funds. And there's enough federal monies coming down the pike that if we're truly interested in this, and if also PSU could be a partner, and also if we do have customers like Argentech or other, people in the field of need of Unmanned Aircraft Center, then I think we should be able to, or we should take advantage of something down the pike if we can justify going forward with a grant request for some federal monies that might be heading our way. But it's just my opinion. I think we'll put it before the board though, but I don't think we should go forward with a double request for Northern Borders funds at this point. And I don't know if, Colin, do you want to also speak to it, or?
Well, yes, I know that we do have most of the application prepared, so it wouldn't be much to submit it. And since we did submit last year, we could, we could try for looking at the affidavit for that to waive the match part. We put significant effort into pursuing this, and since we do have the application basically near complete, I do understand that it's not quite related to the other project in town. But I know that, it's whatever the wishes of the select board are. So, but we're gonna keep looking for ways to pursue.
Any comments from the board?
So Bill, what are the pros and cons of double dipping or not?
Okay, well, I mean, June can weigh in too, but the con would be, all I can think of is a con right now, but the con would be we'd be kind of competing against ourselves for limited grant money. And this project doesn't really indicate that we're creating a lot of, new workers. And obviously we're benefiting the town if this project were to go forward, but only probably in our dreams at this point, because PSU is not a committed partner. Argentech is not a committed partner. So we don't have the customers that would make this project viable. So I don't think Northern Borders would really kind of appreciate reviewing this project because it doesn't really kind of check all the boxes for them. The pros are, I mean, ultimately, if we, it's kind of like ludicrous to say, but yeah, if we build it, they will come. I mean, there is a need for utilizing an unmanned aircraft center. And we are in the center of the state. And there was a similar project that went into, was it York, Maine? That actually Bino indicated that he used Northern Borders money to help facilitate the building of an unmanned aircraft center in York, because there's a lot of customers in New Hampshire that want to utilize this. So we don't know that yet. And I think if we want to be successful, we need to go forward and beat the bushes and find those customers and make sure that if we do build it, that there will be jobs created and the whole 9 yards.
So who beats the bushes for customers?
Well, Colin,
How does that work?
Colin would be good. The university, because they expressed interest in this. And they're also going forward with a cybersecurity major, or at least they're kicking that off in July, I guess. So that may also kind of jumpstart this project. I mean, so but they have to go forward with something versus trying to deal with a symbiotic relationship with the community colleges. And so they've got a lot, kind of hanging over their heads. And enrollment, and theoretically enrollment's going to drop in the toilet in 5 years. I mean, there's a lot of like spooky talk about the university system. So I'm not certain how aggressive they're going to be in going forward with their need to utilize this.
Bill, you indicated that state officials were very encouraging about this project.
Yeah.
Do you think we could approach them for more assistance in pursuing funding or possible customers?
I think they would be helpful as well. In fact, there's kind of like low-hanging fruit here for the fact that if we build a hangar, then we'd have fees that would be coming in. Bob was saying he parks his plane down in Laconia, and it's like, was it $400 a month?
Yeah, unheated, yes.
Yeah, $400 a month for unheated hangar space. So it'd be nice to see some revenue coming in. But
There's a lot of demand for hangars right now.
So can I add, Bill,
Sure.
to maybe help give some clarity to this? As I've looked into this, and I've had, Bill and I had one conversation a few weeks back with Argentech back in March. My sense of this is, there was just no commitment. And I asked specifically, how many jobs will this create in Plymouth? And there wasn't really an answer. I also had asked about, I asked Plymouth State for a letter. They were offering a letter of support, but I asked for a letter of commitment and was told that wasn't going to be able to be forthcoming at this time. So and I appreciate, these ideas that there's, or comments, and Colin, don't forgive me, I don't, I haven't met you yet, but, whether there's demand for hangar space, but this really, in my opinion, needs to be a feasibility study. And it's my understanding there was one that was looked into with community development block grants, and Jules is on here too. She was going to jump onto another meeting, so she maybe has gone to that, but I think we need to first figure out how much a hangar would cost with the classroom space. So it's not just a hangar, it's hangar plus. How big is that classroom? How much utilization it will have, because that might trigger responsibilities we'd have to take on for water systems. If it triggers a public water supply, how that would be maintained. And again, I don't know enough about the airport yet, so forgive me, but septic system, that kind of thing. Those start adding budget items to a construction project. So then you know what the cost would be, then you have to figure out sort of the capital maintenance of it. And then you figure out a financing plan over time, because the other thing that Northern Borders really asks for something like this is we would have to show how we are going to maintain this capital investment over time. So that would mean, what do we need to charge per hangar rental? And then have somebody that can really do some market analysis. Is the demand out there at the price we need it to be at in order to pay for this thing over the life of the building and that kind of thing, maintaining the septic system, the water system, the classroom space, that kind of thing. So I think that's really pieces that need to be first figured out of what it is and really how much it's going to cost short term, not just to build it, but build it for the long run, and what the pricing plan would be to help finance it.
Right, so there, unless someone else has a comment on this, maybe we could, I guess, poll the board to see what their preference might be as far as,
Do
Neil.
you think we should have a subcommittee, Bill?
That would be fine. Yeah. I take it that would you prefer to be on that subcommittee as well, or?
I'd be willing if I'm, but I try to help any way I can.
Okay.
When is the application due?
I was like May 15th, something like that.
Yeah, any way you look at it, I think we're gonna have to wait a year anyhow and really do our homework about how we can use the space and pay for it and, all that.
And this is an application process that comes about every year or every 6 months, or?
I believe Northern Borders is every year around this time. So again, I think, we should be able to, look into an application, I think, for community development block grant, perhaps for a true feasibility study, and hire a consultant. Again, every time we apply, then there's some grant administration, fair amount of work that we would have to do in our staff time to, hire a consultant and proper selection and go through a study process for looking at that. But it really needs somebody that can do that kind of, it's a business plan basically to develop for that kind of facility, and then really work with the interested parties that they've mentioned, to get commitments and making sure, because it's one thing for them to say to support, but they may not be able to commit to it if we're going to have to be pricing it at a point that's too high for them too. Or if it's low enough, then maybe we can generate, 5 other companies to come in. We just don't know that. So it's hard to write an application for something where, Argentech's saying maybe they'd use it a few days a month, and Plymouth State's not sure yet, I think, how, that's just been we like the idea and it fits with our program, but I can see some logistical problems with it too. So I'm not against this. I just, I don't know how I could write, really what the application would be to fit the parameters that Northern Border Regional Commission is asking for. And I've had 3 conversations now with Bino Lamontang, their state rep, to try to, get some answers and get some insight into the program. And, it has a lot of specificity about these kinds of things. So
I'm willing to put in whatever time it takes as airport manager to improve the airport and to make our town, our airport viable in our community, and to have it economically feasible. And so whatever it takes, I appreciate any help that the town allow.
Appreciate that, Colin. Does any other board members want to participate on a subcommittee to investigate? Oh, we've got.
Well, it sounds like June was recommending, hiring outside consultants to do that study, unless I misunderstood June.
I think our job would be to try to find some funding somewhere to, yes, hire some type of business analyst that can do a feasibility plan for understanding the market assessment for what real demand beyond Plymouth State and Argentech, because we probably will need more tenants, more use of that site. And then what the pricing would be over, not just to build it, but to maintain that capital investment over time.
We have an input from the general public, actually. Frank, if you want to.
Yes, I wouldn't mind serving on this subcommittee. My experience is airport engineer. Since I'm the only person in the town of Plymouth that owns his own airport presently, I do have the profile for the feasibility study, which is a 5-year business plan by the FAA. And I believe I have a lot of technical data and experience, and that could help this subcommittee formulate a very low cost initial overview of the feasibility study profile, so we can determine whether or not we should go forward with a big feasibility studies. Usually run around $150,000, but we want to spend $150 to just look at a overview to see what issues we would have to cause us to want to reconsider or to go forward, and start looking at different dollar amounts to complete a feasibility study profile. So I have that material in my office, and the airport manager currently would like to come up. I believe I can help him get some information going that would help this committee.
So that'd be great.
All right. Thank you, Frank.
Yep.
So, yeah, I'm not certain what the subcommittee actually will probably, and what the work that's going to entail. Maybe if Colin, if you want to take a look at what Frank has. Just
Okay.
And Northern Borders isn't going to be the only funding source that's coming down the pike, but like the latest stimulus funds is targeting also airports as well, but those are like FAA. So I'm not certain, if anything's gonna be targeted to municipal airport that's not FAA, but
I can reach out to the Aeronautics Commission and see if there's anything through the block grant process. Maybe there might be a way to have funds come our way. I'll see whatever kind of options there are for that.
okay. And it's not that I'm not listening to June as far as like going forward with a feasibility study initially or finding money, but now that we have our state senator and executive counselor that are pretty hot on this, if there is some chance for something to be squirreled into some budget, I don't know. At least it's up to see what they might have to offer. So, but I am listening to you. So I think, it would still be good to get like a general, I guess, feeling of the board, whether or not we should go forward with a double application. That's the intent of this discussion, to see if this should be another Northern Borders grant application, or we just focus on downtown. And maybe we'll do a motion if someone wishes to do so. Or not.
I'm not sure what you're looking for a motion on exactly there, Bill, but I think it makes more sense to put our our efforts behind the other one and not this one this round, and give this some space to develop maybe a stronger case.
That's what I was looking for. Thanks.
That's the motion.
Is that the motion?
Yeah.
So Zach moved. Is there a second?
Sure,
I
I'll
would
second.
second that. Oops, sorry, Ted, you can take it.
All right. Ted seconds. Mary Ann, your vote.
Aye.
Neil. Oop, I saw you say aye.
Aye or nay?
What's that?
You say aye or nay?
Not, oh, did you say aye or nay?
Aye.
Ted,
Aye.
Zach,
Aye.
Bill, aye. All right. Thank you.
We're gonna follow up on this, though.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. We've got 5 minutes
Oh,
to discuss performance review policy discussion. So do you think we can do it in 5, or you want to?
Well, depends on whether everybody's agreeable to the one that was put in the packet that Ann and I worked on. We put out a request on listserv to other towns to see what they used, and we got very few responses. So the few towns that we did get, along with Health Trust, which Scott provided for us, and we did like look at PSU. We put together the one that's in your packet. So I guess the question is, did everybody get to review it? Is there anything, are you good with it, or is there anything that you wanted to add, or do you want to take a vote to move forward with the one in your packet?
I looked at the one in the packet and it looks fine from my perspective. And it doesn't preclude us from changing the form that we use in the future.
Right.
So I would actually argue that we should move forward with the one that's provided and call it good for now.
That's Ted's motion.
Seemed like a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that to move forward with the one we have.
I'll second that motion.
All right. We got Ted moved. Zach
Excuse me, as
seconded.
an interested party, am I allowed to ask what is the policy that you're voting on?
Too late, Diane. I'm sorry. No, so
No, unfair.
The performance form or the policy that you're voting on?
That's the only reason I came.
Yes.
Not that this isn't riveting.
We're in that discussion phase right now. Diane, basically what we're talking about is basically a standard form for doing employee performance reviews.
It's annual, or I heard it might go up to quarterly. This is my big interest.
It is annually.
yeah,
Annual.
I think there was this someone. Well, I think Mary Ann, your voice said it might be biannual, but I think we're just doing annual.
Okay, thank you.
But Diane, that doesn't mean that the library, who really aren't under the domain of the selectmen, can't continue to use the form that is best for their staff. I mean, this is not a universal form. Just so you're, because there are forms that the police department uses that really have no effect on the town hall. There's
Okay.
forms at the fire, so it's just the policy, I think, that they're voting on.
Okay, thank you.
Makes sense?
Well, I think we're also, yeah, and that form itself.
The review
So-
form that we're going to use.
some departments can have a more,
More geared towards their department, like
Yeah.
police, fire would have different things in it.
but this would be like an umbrella that
If you
would,
don't have one, this is what.
Yes.
yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. So there was a motion. Ted, Zach seconded. Mary, any further discussion? Seeing none. Mary Ann, you vote?
Aye.
Neil?
Aye.
Zach?
Aye.
Ted?
Aye.
Bill? Aye. Rapidly approaching 6 o'clock.
The policy was approved as well.
Was
Policy.
that part of the motion or,
That was part of the motion, but I may have missed this.
Zach, would you have included the motion, in your motion, the performance review policy?
That was Ted that made the
I
motion.
would say it was Ted's motion.
would have, yes.
All right, so
Yep.
we're all set.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry.